Welcome, everybody. Dr. Jason Dean, BraveTV. Tuesday, May. I would keep on to say April. I haven't gotten into May yet. May 7th, 2024. Your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. Real quick. So, drainage activator, pair of 5, is going up on the store very quick. I'm going to call it my pair of 5 so I don't get in trouble by the FDA, FTC, or the company. And we'll make it work. We're going to talk about weather later, but as we increasingly get through this year, I've been told by many people this year is going to be challenging in many ways. So when we say that, I always think of Chris. I always think of Chris because if things are getting challenging, we have to know not our bailout plans, but do you have food, people? Do you have water? Do you have propane? Do you have energy sources? Do you have... What did I not check off other than guns?
Do you have survival dispatch?
Oh! Your source for survival information. Chris Evan, what's up, buddy?
Man, we're busier than a one-legged cowboy in an ass-kicking competition.
You've used that one too many times. You need a new one.
Busier than a one-armed paper hanger.
There you go. There's a ton of them out there. I actually feel bad. So I have to apologize to Chris on air. Not really apologize, but like I felt bad because from Thursday to Sunday, I was in Dallas, and when I go into like practitioner mode, I kind of block everything else out because we're talking and networking, and there's a lot of people there and friends and then information, and so. Chris texted me. I'm like, hey, let me get back to you. I had like 3 people get a hold of me, and I'm like, hey, like, I'd like to chat, but it's going to be very disjointed. So let me talk. So I didn't get back to you, which was my fault, and I knew you don't necessarily care that much, but I did know. What's that?
Was not offended.
I know. I knew you weren't. Anyway, you look younger today.
I don't feel younger. I'm not kidding you. I am worn out right now. It's but I won't go down that rabbit hole. I'm just worn out dealing with incompetent people recently.
Oh, join the club. I understand that fully. I came back from practitioner world, which is like being in a bubble, and I realized the world not only did not move on to better things, it became worse. And I get around people, and I'm like, why are you not like use your brains? Like use your brain. Before we jump right,
keep talking, but I have to show you something. Keep talking.
Okay. Before we jump right in, I'm going to promote this very well. Go to YouTube, type in Survival Dispatch News. This amazing little channel pops up here. Go over, check that out. Survival Dispatch News.
Let me speak to that just for a second.
Of course.
And then I'll show you this picture
go for it.
That you've got to see. So I get requests from Google and YouTube on a regular basis to meet with them, not because I'm special, just because our traffic on our YouTube channel's reasonably significant. So I met with a couple engineers 2 weeks ago. Supposed to be a 1-hour meeting, went for 2 hours. And I always end these meetings the same way and say, would you please stop suppressing our content? You know, we're constantly getting emails from people who say they don't get notifications when we publish new videos. They're being unsubscribed from our channel, you know. So
do they act like they're not?
No. I'll be honest. That every single person we've met with from Google and YouTube has been really decent to work with.
Okay, cool.
They're not the ones who are setting the algorithm that does all these nefarious things. They're just decent people.
They're just good workers.
They are. So one of the guys asked me, he said, do you have anything of a political nature on your channel? And I said, yes. Every Monday's a live edition of Survival Dispatch News. And then Wednesday, Friday are pre-recorded episodes. We frequently touch on, political stuff. And they said, listen, that's going to hurt you, especially in an election year. I said, okay, well, what if I take Survival Dispatch News off of the main Survival Dispatch channel and put it on its own channel, and I don't monetize it? what are your thoughts on that? And they said, you're not the first person who's contemplated or actually done that. That's a good idea. So as of yesterday, Survival Dispatch News is on its own channel. Click on the live tab. You'll see that we published a live edition of Survival Dispatch News yesterday. Of course, we only have a fraction of the followers and views that we do on the main Survival Dispatch channel. That's okay. It's a process, not an event to build a channel. You
Yeah.
know this.
Yep.
But here's some positive things that are coming out of this, okay? So Survival Dispatch News, please go over there and subscribe. So youtube.com/at Survival Dispatch News will get you there. We've already got over 2,000 subscribers, which in the grand scheme of things is pretty good
That's actually very good for starting off.
The views on live videos are never accurate until about a week afterwards on YouTube. Don't ask me why, but it'll say something like this video has 200 views, and when in reality it has, say, 2,000 views, okay? But the more people who could follow us on Survival Dispatch News, watch our videos there, we'd appreciate it. So Survival Dispatch News isn't changing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays when it gets published. But that leaves 4 days of the week on the new channel and 3 days of the week on the existing channel that don't have shows. Not so fast. So on Survival Dispatch News, we've recruited the guys from the Righteous Savages podcast, and they will have a show every single week on the new Survival Dispatch News channel. And that leaves us 3 slots to fill. We have some discussions going. Okay. And everything over on Survival Dispatch News channel can be political, whatever. On the main Survival Dispatch channel, we debuted a new show yesterday, Stoker-matic with Bill Stoker. He has a channel of his own as well. That's a pretty big accomplishment on our part. We're super happy to have Bill in the fold, pardon me. We also have a new show starting called The Blackout Broadcast with the guys from Switch It Up. So these are experts in the world of EMPs, CMEs, grid down. They're master electricians. And the CEO, Mike Bellamere, a friend of mine, also majored in Homeland Security in college. So that's a kick-ass show that we've got. And we have a third show getting ready to launch on the main Survival Dispatch channel from an open source intelligence group that's comprised of a bunch of former NCO intel guys. And, that's a pretty big accomplishment in itself. So Survival Dispatch, you got On 3 with Jason Sawyer Saturday, Sunday. You got Stoker-matic. You've got the Blackout Broadcast. You got Fuel the Fires with JJ Morris. You got Survival Dispatch Academy and this new Intel show. So we're actually got a whole bunch more content as a result of splitting it between a survival channel that's monetized and a Survival Dispatch News channel that's not monetized. Then we take the best of both of those. We put it on our Cloud Hub channel. I think our last Cloud Hub video is somewhere around 400,000 views. We're not suppressed over there. So at the end of the day, if you're not following Survival Dispatch on YouTube, please do so. If you're not following Survival Dispatch News on YouTube, please do so. And if you're not following Survival Dispatch on Cloud Hub, please do so there as well. That's it. End of my shameless plugs.
Good shameless plug, though. Very good information. I like the news aspect too. I think that will be good. Well done on the logo. Whoever built that, smart.
Thank you.
Good, simple, nice and straightforward. Looks like a news-ish article without being too newsy-ish. So
you're a little bit younger than I am, but tell me that doesn't strike you as like a 70s style logo. That's what hit me, at least. I thought, man, that looks a lot like something out of the 70s.
I could see that, but I also see a little bit of, for me, 90s ESPN look in there.
Could be, yeah.
Which catches the eye because that was the hot time of ESPN before they went woke and stupid. So it was when ESPN was actually good. Nice. Man. So I was in Texas. We were flying out on Sunday morning, and the night before, nasty storms to the point where flood warnings went into effect, tornado warnings. My wife's like, should we be worried? She's a hurricane girl, so she knows. And I'm like, no, I don't see anything on the radar, but Oklahoma and all those places, they're going to get hammered, which they did last night, which I'm going to go over later. But you can see the manipulation. Some people don't believe in manipulating weather. It's in the Freedom of Information documents. Like they openly admit. China's been openly admitting for even thousands of years, possibly. They've been doing it. You said a long time ago, even last year, we both talked about this, of like, hey, not for fear, but be ready. This grid, whether cyber attack, EMP, whatever the hell, this grid is going down this year, most likely. We can't predict and guarantee that, but the writing is on the wall at this point. Well, with the weather picking up, and you can see it in Florida, I already told my wife, like, we're gonna get hammered this year. Just prepare for the worst case scenario. This is a time where people need to be prepared, Chris. Like, I know we say it over and over again. I don't want to be the boy that cried wolf, but I mean, can you see any other thing playing out other than an election year, hell breaking loose in weather, electronics, infrastructure, you name it?
Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff on those topics. So, first and foremost, for anybody who's not familiar, Survival Dispatch is the only third party out there who has conducted independent tests on the products from EMP Shield.
Yep.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, this gets installed in your electrical panel, home, work, or otherwise, and it has infinite resistance. What that means is that it doesn't attract any electricity under normal circumstances. But as soon as there's a big surge, like hundreds of thousands of volts, it goes the exact opposite way, and it actually is a magnet for that electricity, and then it'll shunt it out through a ground rod. Okay, so we built a 400,000 volt Marks generator. We hit our test bed, which was not connected to the rest of the building, as close as 6 inches away from sensitive LED controllers, zero damage, and we hit it over and over and over again. The video that you'll see says 360,000 volts. We did that because if in perfect circumstances, you might be able to say that the air density reduced our 400,000 volts to 360,000. That's not what happened. It was more like 399.99 thousand volts that we hit everything with. Suffice it to say, we turned around, we built an 800,000 volt Marks generator and almost killed ourselves.
Do you need an electrician to install that? Someone asked.
So here's the deal. If you're comfortable doing simple electrical tasks, you can install it yourself. However, I would recommend against that. And so our son is a master electrician.
Okay.
I had him install ours for the specific reason that if you have an electrical fire and the insurance company says,
you gotta
hey,
be covered. Yep.
Who installed this on the panel? Well, I installed it myself. Oh,
You're screwed.
Your policy's done, right?
Yep. I agree.
So our oldest son, very adept master electrician. It's not a big task to install this. You know, if you do everything proper, the electrician's probably going to be gone in 30 to 45 minutes max.
Yep.
If you go to survivaldispatch.com and click on the image that comes across that shows the test, you can't miss it. It says, you know, EMP video test. You can get $50 off each device that you buy with our code. So instead of paying $400 for an EMP Shield device, you pay $350. Same thing goes with the ones for your car. So not that one, the very next one. There you go. So if you click on that image, it'll give you the discount code, the link to go buy it on EMP Shield. Now, the other image that you showed up there, that's for a company owned by Switch It Up called EMP Pro. You can go there and schedule an electrician to come and install it at your home or business if you want. So regardless of whether it's a lightning strike, which, by the way, EMP Shield will cover $25,000 damage if you have one of their devices, you get hit by lightning. So that will more than cover most people's deductible, right? So lightning, CMEs, coronal mass ejections, solar flares, EMPs, everything protected by this device. Nobody's done what we've done. Like I said, we built an 800,000 volt Marks generator. Steve Yost was standing on a tire 25 yards away and still got hit by the electrostatic discharge. So it's really dangerous stuff. So being Survival Dispatch, we are now in the process of building a 1.2 million volt Tesla generator. We tried to do it with the Marks generator, and we couldn't get over.
I'm super pumped about that one.
We couldn't get over the million volts, and there's a reason that we want to do this over a million volts. is that the Carrington level event, or the Carrington event, pardon me, September 1st, 1859, where we were hit with this huge CME,
Yep.
set telegraph wires on fire, set telegraph machines on fire, set telegraph operators on fire. And it's estimated that it was an X5 level. If we get hit with an X5 today, it will destroy all the power grids and everything electronic that's not protected, which very little stuff is protected. But an X5 is estimated to be a hair under 1 million volts. So we're going to do it with 1.2 million volts. So there'll be a follow up to that first video. And again, we're the only people who've done this. There have been some lab tests for DoD specifications. These are controlled mock-ups. No videos of that exist out there in the public domain. Nothing except for what we've done. So when we say, hey, this is what this device can do, it's from firsthand experience, hitting it with some crazy electrical charges. Okay. By the way, this is the little guy for your car. And again, if you use our code, you get $50 off of anything from EMP Shield. This is really fast and easy to install as well, by the way. So that's the EMP stuff weather-wise. So we have all kinds of people reach out to us, Jason, just like you do. That they could be whistleblowers. They could be people who have been demonized, and they're looking for a way to get some information out. So get this one into you. Lieutenant Colonel Doc Pete Chambers is a friend of ours. And for many, many years in the upper echelons of government and military, he was included in just about everything because he was just a super guy. He's no longer included in things because he's been on a mission to, do exposés on the border, political.
Is that one of the guys that's on that email chain?
You mean the email chain on the theft of?
There's an email chain that I'm in with you. That a bunch of people bitching about being on the chain because there's so many emails. But I feel like I remember that guy's name on there, and he had a lot of good details.
He is on there. So he was a Green Beret for 39 years.
Yeah.
He's one of the most intelligent men I've ever met, and he's one of the most dedicated Americans I've ever met, bar none, okay?
I love it.
So he was driving from Texas to North Carolina last week to speak at an event. Then he drove from there to Naples to speak here. He's on his way back to Texas right now. So he says to me, hey, Chris, have you been following the National Weather Service picking up microwaves at night?
Yep.
And I said, I've heard of it, but I haven't really followed it. He said, well, jump on X and do a search on it because some stuff happened last night. Okay. So I go on X. I'm on the phone with him.
Was this last night or a different night?
Last week.
Okay. Oh, last week. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So you'll love this. So I type in microwaves. Keep in mind that, I was a certified systems and network admin long before I got into business development at Sun and after that. So I got a server error from X, which essentially indicated that there was a problem connecting to the database. So I thought, that's kind of odd. I've never seen X barf like that. So I fired up another web browser and I typed in microwaves. Did the same thing. So I thought, I wonder if this is relative to the subject at hand or if they're legitimately having a problem. So I punched in protests. Boom. All kinds of information came up, right? Which, by the way, I have a censorship story to tell you about. Don't let me leave without telling you about it.
Okay.
So anyway, I go to another web browser. I try it again, get the same result. So whatever, is going on the back end, it's specific to the microwaves. I punch in microwave map. I get one result. And that result that I get shows the National Weather Service time lapse from the previous night, especially in the south and the east, all of what looks like these blue disruptions, which normally would mean snow from the National Weather Service. And there were some other stuff, some orange and yellow and whatnot, and green indicating rain. And essentially what it was a map of microwaves that had been blasted out from 5G towers for a 6-hour period the night before. So Doc Pete says to me, he says, ever since the eclipse, this has been happening like clockwork every single night.
Correct.
He said, so let me tell you about an internal paper, internal to the DoD approximately 20 years ago that was put on his desk. And it was essentially a warning that the Chinese were plotting to use wireless technology to induce mental instability, dementia, all these different things in America. And the crux of the matter was is that the plot was to turn the United States into a kill box. In other words, to utilize wireless technology to make people lose their mind
Yep.
and shoot up their fellow citizens. Okay. So fast forward to what's going on now. Ever since the eclipse, the National Weather System, and had no idea prior to this, by the way, that our radars could pick up microwaves.
Yeah.
The volume of microwaves that's being blasted out of these 5G towers is very significant and has all sorts of health implications related to it. Whether or not this is the Chinese plan or not that Doc Pete referred to, I can't say because we don't have that level of information just yet. However, we've been approached by two whistleblowers, one of whom, there we go with the bubbles.
It's a party.
You know what? It hasn't happened to me forever. It's happening to Keith
I
Graves
watched
now.
it. I watched it on a mainstream network the other day. Somebody had an iPhone. It was a mainstream like broadcast network. The same thing happened. So don't feel bad.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's like secret Chinese signals for balloons to rot our brains. I don't know. Anyway, so one of the whistleblowers who approached us last week was actually the main guy who blew the story on the Fast and Furious stuff years ago. And of course, he gets death threats constantly. But he came to me after talking to Doc Pete and he says, "Hey, Chris, I want to share something else with you. Have you seen the National Weather Service's nighttime imagery of microwaves being emitted from 5G towers?" And I'm like, what a coincidence. I just had this conversation with Lieutenant Colonel Doc Pete Chambers. Suffice it to say, at the end of the day, I mean, you're a doctor, so you know much more on this topic than I do. Whether or not there are nefarious things at play or not, being exposed to that level of microwaves, it has health ramifications.
Absolutely.
And deserves to be looked into deeper. So when I saw your text come across with regards to weather patterns and messing with weather, my first thought actually went to the microwave stuff.
Okay.
And so we will be doing more on this topic. It will not be on our YouTube channel. It will be on our Truth Be Told show, which is hosted by Todd Callender on the Vax Choice channel on Cloud Hub, because this stuff is being heavily suppressed, as I just mentioned with X.
I'll send you a couple X accounts who are covering this, and they actually have background and experience in this. And the last week, man, their coverage, they're literally showing the radars, like how it's actually being done.
I had no idea, again, that weather radars could pick up microwaves like this. So it's some pretty scary stuff. I can't get into it too deep right now. I will share it with you offline. Now we'll get into it more so over the next couple months publicly, but Todd Callender is in the process of launching the largest ever class action lawsuit. And there is an element of 5G involved in that class action lawsuit. And when he breaks this, I mean, it's no secret. Todd Callender does not live in the continental United States of America because he gets constant daily death threats. He's the only guy left standing, right? Like, I'll give Elon credit for expanding the scope of free speech on X, but there are still certain things. I typed the word moron in a reply to somebody who said there was no issue at the border, and I got a warning that popped up and said, "You shouldn't use that word. You might hurt somebody's feelings." Like, shit, you not. I kid you
I
not.
want to use that word. Send.
So no, my point is,
no, I know.
Elon has done a lot of good stuff. You know what? I want to just mention something else as well. We had Rudy Giuliani on last week, and we had him on for a very specific reason. We used him as a prime example of the lawfare that's being waged against Donald Trump and others, okay? And I don't know if you know this, but he was dragged into court, was never allowed to present a defense, and an activist judge awarded two people $148.1 million because Rudy Giuliani implicated them in an election cheating operation. And he has the receipts. And I've seen the information. I've seen the pictures. I've seen the videos. And they absolutely did it. And so at the end of the day, we wanted our audience to be aware of just how bad this is.
Sure.
How do you convict somebody? How do you even indict somebody and not give them any discovery or a chance to defend themselves in a court of law and say, you're guilty, $148.1 million to the plaintiffs? If that's not, something out of a third world banana republic, I don't know what is. But why do I mention this? We started getting comments from people. I'm not subscribing to Survival Dispatch anymore. Rudy Giuliani's a piece of shit, and he did this and he did that. And you know what? Do you know anybody who's perfect?
It's definitely not me. I can tell you that much.
Is Donald Trump perfect?
No, there's many things that I disagree with him on.
Hey, well, Project Warp Speed, let's just use that. I disagree vehemently with it. But when you look at the lay of the land, is there a better candidate who stands a legitimate chance of winning the election and turning this country around?
No, to this day, he will go down for his first 4 years as the best since the founders, honestly, based on just priorities of what he put on, getting us out of wars. I mean, come on, that alone, no brainer.
Okay. Is Rudy Giuliani perfect? Has he done anything that you don't agree with? I know the answer.
100%.
Okay.
But so is my wife. So is my friends, my family, etc.
Okay. So, you texted me that you don't hold Rudy in a level of high regard. I'm kind of neutral on it.
But I don't go and subscribe from your channel.
Well, no, I'll ask you a question. Does that negate the fact that he's been a target of unlawful, unconstitutional lawfare?
No, 100% no. A totally different topic.
Okay, so here's my point. Anybody who thinks that somebody who made a misstep here and a misstep there, it deserves to be canceled and there's nothing relevant in hand, that's an idiotic way to look at things. That is a truly idiotic way to look at things. So if the government can do to Rudy what they did to him and what they continue to do to him, what makes people think that they won't do it to you and me and the rest of us?
Valid point.
Okay? So people need to get off high horse on this stuff. Just because they disagree with something doesn't mean there isn't some element of legitimacy and truth that needs a light shone on it so that people are aware of these things. So I apologize for ranting, but
no, rant away. It's understandable. I mean, we all learn from stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's extremely short-sighted at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
And I have to show you this.
Before you go, what's your story? Show me your thing.
I have to show you this. You'll get a kick out of this. 1987. Hulk Hogan is, like
you saw my shirt.
Every teenager's idol,
100%.
WWF days, so on and so forth, right? And do you remember Hulk Hogan had these pants that were the flag called Real American Pants?
Yep.
Okay. 1987, by the way, when they sold those. I have had those Hulk Hogan Real American pants since 1987. This is 2014, the last time I won a world championship in bench press, accepting the gold medal after creaming the 7-time Russian national champ. It was kind of like my Rocky IV moment.
I love it.
But when I saw your shirt, I was thinking to myself, man, you have to see my Hulk Hogan Real American Pants that I've had since 1987.
I love it. And people are like, "Oh, you wear a lot of Hulk Hogan stuff. Is he your favorite?" I'm like, "He's not my favorite. I grew up with. He was the thing. I still watch it today. I watched Raw last night. It's probably the only. I joke because I got my wife involved and she's now hooked, and she never thought she'd be hooked. My daughter loves it, and I go, I don't watch any television. Very rarely watch a movie here or there. I watch it for marketing, and it takes you back to your childhood. It's kind of fun. It's entertaining, right? Good soap opera.
Absolutely.
Head over to Survival Dispatch News. I love it. So, let me bring it up here one more time before you go. Survival Dispatch News. Go check it out. Go subscribe. When's the next one? When's the next show?
We're recording it in a half hour, and it will air tomorrow. And by the way, we've retained a Hollywood-level movie editor named Tim Sabatino. And
I know that name.
He's going to be taking the 2 pre-recorded episodes of SDN each week and putting all kinds of B-roll in them and spiffing them up and taking our stuff to the next level. And that starts tomorrow.
Beautiful. I love it. Tim Sabatino, good guy. Really, really, really good stuff too.
Talented.
Awesome, brother. I appreciate you very much. Chris Heaven, survivaldispatch.com. Have a great Tuesday,
Likewise,
brother.
Doc.
Be well. Be safe. Be safe.
Likewise.